get stacked.
Triple threat.
Expected value. Now take what you learn, go out there, and get stacked.
What up, Gripsters and random YouTubers? Evan here for Grips.com with a fresh, new MTT review. In the spirit of learning how to get the max out of easy sites, we're going to review a victory from 888poker. Edvin, net worth 1, took down the Friday Challenge, a $35 buy-in freeze-out tournament, for $5,700. That's like close to 200 buy-ins. Pretty solid. This playboy is an OG gripster from Sweden who's been with us since before Project Get Me Stacking started. He's got some real good aggro Northern European style game, and I'm excited to see what that looks like from behind the cards. Just before cards in the air, we will be using a heads-up display for this video and for all future videos. I've simplified it though so we can learn at a reasonable pace. So the stats are, the first one is what percentage of hands player is playing. The red one is what percentage of hands they are raising. The orange stat is their aggression factor, which basically means how much they prefer aggressive actions versus passive actions post-flop. So 1 means they're always just calling, and 8 means they're never not betting. The pink stat is 3-bet, the purple stat is fold to 3-bet, and the baby blue stat is 4-bet when given the opportunity. All right, let's get this party started, shall we? So 7-5 suited, not going to be playing. This tournament has quite a few hundred runners and a lot of satellite players, and it is a very, very soft tournament. So here with the threes, perfect spot to peel, no set, no bet, and we will easily fold to that one. 9-6-0, okay, he's not that crazy. Some people are playing anything in the early levels, but no need for that. So here with the aces, Edvin goes with the full size amount. Some people are looking like, man, why would you do that? You're like not getting any value out of your aces. Well, if you're Silent Seb or Ronnie and you're sitting there with like 10s or better, are you really gonna fold? I know it's 250 big blinds, but they're probably gonna just put you on ace king and be likely to call. So it's a fine way to play the hand. The other thing is if you make it a standard amount, you know, like 240, 300, even 360, even if you get a good flop, you may not stack those hands for everything. So this is a play that gives us the opportunity to get full value. Unfortunately, it probably didn't have one of those hands, but I like the play and I like the creativity. Here he goes doing the same thing. I think versus a limp, it's a little less likely to get the full action, and I like a smaller size raise there. But again, he just did it one hand in a row, so this is 2 hands in a row. People may just think he's some crazy donk. So there is some value to the image value of doing that too. King Jack, facing a 9 big blind shove. No need to call that guy, no need to pick him off. Yes, he may be shoving wide, but why take the variance? There's just no need for that. Cool, we got some rags, easy folds. Probably not going to be folding this one though. So we got a raise and a 3-bet. And Edvin, can you guess what he's going to do? You guessed right, he's all in. One player calls and the other player folds. And what's he got? This new replayer doesn't show us the cards for the all-in sweats. Everybody hates it, but whatever. It's what we got. The new replayer looks sick, so it's all right. And here we get full value from ace king suited. Now, if we 4-bet and he flats, we're not getting the stack. And who's to say he's for sure 5-bet calling? This player is kind of tight passive. He's probably actually the type to just flat call with the ace king suited and probably fold on this board. So this play got us an extra like 4,500 chips, and I'm very much down with it. So it shows that although the first time you guys saw, you're like, oh, it's so dumb, that's so bad. Boom, proof is in the pudding, baby. We just got pazed. So now we got 10K, about 300 big blinds and change, but there are no antes in play. So there's no need to really start doing anything too crazy. Did we just get queen 5 off 3 hands in a row? I remember when people used to be like, well, if you get the same hand 3 hands in a row, or you're playing 4 tables and you get the same hand on 3 of them, it is a sign that you should play that hand. Not true. Got a little 6-8 suited. Can we open that up? Oh, for sure. We get squeezed though, and not going to be calling the 3-bet with 8 high. It is a pretty large size 3-bet, and we do have fairly low cards. And as we call 3-bets and pot to stack ratio gets shallower, we definitely want to be holding big cards more often than we're holding small cards. So I'm down with the not peel of the 8-6 suited, and some people may peel here with the K9-0. King 9 suited, definitely King 10 off and better. Probably going to peel getting that 6-1 pre-flop, but can understand just folding what's pretty much a junk hand. This one, I think we could probably see a flop, but I like that Edvin's following the triple threat, and we're going to see that that works to take down tournaments. Yes, there is some value to calling a middle position raise with King Queen suited. We're probably doing okay against his range. Unless he's a super loose player though, when he's opening from middle position, we aren't crushing his range, so we aren't giving up a ton of value by folding there. We're probably giving up a little bit, but nothing to like just flip out about. Being said, King Queen suited flops pretty well, and it's pretty easy to know on which boards we can continue on and which ones we shouldn't. But Edvin's going to follow the triple threat: position, selection, aggression, and I'm down with that. See, 7-8 suited, he's deep, but not peeling. Now Hilka's going to be in there with his more peels and more bets comments, but hey, I think this was Edvin's first big win, and in these early stages, wanting to just always have the lead and being in full control of the action, I with that. So here, not seeing that flop. Again, it's probably a peel you can consider making if you're confident in your post-flop abilities. If, however, you don't feel like you play well post-flop, just wait for those optimal spots. Call here with the Queen Jack suited. Don't worry about calling with the Queen Jack offsuit. Call with the pocket pairs. Keep it simple pre-flop, and you'll be much less likely to make mistakes post-flop. Like here, sure, if he was on the button, Edvin would have gone for the open, but no open on the cutoff. Totally cool. So new table, still 100 big blinds, still heaps of chips, and this looks like a hand that we're going to be playing. So pretty good board for the pre-flop raiser. Fire out a c-bet, and we get peeled. Well, I wasn't sure which turns we should continue on, because I'm not sure how wide Sexy Cindy is going to be peeling, but this is definitely a turn card that I can see us putting more money in the middle. Edvin goes with a second barrel of half pot, and I guess Sexy Cindy was slow playing a mediocre pair, or just on a pure float. Interesting to note. I think this Queen Jack off, we should fold because we're in too early of position. Cutoff, sure. Button, hell yeah. EP though, QJO, no way. We ain't interested in playing them rags. We should come up with like a term, like it's like a positionally raggedy hand. Anyway, we go for the ISO with the King 10 here, get 3-bet, and we just fold. It's interesting that our fold to 3-bet ends up being 38%. I guess that's going to be from stats that come into play much later. These stats will be deceptive in that they are the stats for the entire tournament. So, you know, we may have reads based on these stats that Edvin didn't have at the time, but TPTK, we're going to bet all the way. No action. That's how it's going to be. There's a lot of really weak and passive play on 888s. The players, for the most part, just are not very good, especially in these challenge tournaments where there are tons of satellites. They're really, really soft. All right, 2 queens. Looking at a loose player, his 3-bet is 20%. Do you guys know what 20% of hands looks like? We'll run it in your poker stove, and you can see it's massive. So with 2 queens, we're just getting this all in. He clicks to give the max room. we're up against? We gotta wait till the river to find out. It's so sick. He's got queens. He's got ace king, we got queens. Lose a flip, but we played it properly. No big deal. And another walk. I think we're gonna see a lot of walks and a lot of table moves, and it looks like we're gonna be seeing a lot of aces as well. So what's he gonna do? He is not gonna go all in pre-flop, because at this stage of the tournament, well, now we're only 40 big blinds deep or 50 big blinds deep, and it's a lot easier to get all in by the river when you're only playing with 50 big blinds or 40 big blinds or 30 big blinds or 20 big blinds than it is when you're playing 250, 300 big blinds deep. The more deep stacked you are, if you want to be able to play for your whole stack, the larger you have to make the pot right out of the gate. And as we can see here, even if we didn't get cold called, once Facadelic calls our 3-bet, there's going to be about 2K in the middle, and we only have 6K behind, so half pot bet on the flop. Now there's 4K in the middle with 5K behind, half pot on the turn. You see, we'll be able to get all in on the river, no problem. And that's why your stack depth should really affect the sizings that you choose for your pre-flop raises and 3-bets. Anyway, we get a reasonably good board for us. If someone has king queen or ace queen, we're in trouble, but the odds of them having those hands aren't that likely, because for one, there are 2 queens on the board, dropping the chance of someone having queen king or queen king suited by like 50%. Plus we have 2 aces, so there really aren't all that many combos of ace queen left. When people cold call 3-bets, also they're more likely, I think predominantly they're gonna have large pairs more often than they'll have the big suited connectors. So more often than not, we're good. So this is an extremely dry board, and Edmund bets half pot. I think a smaller c-bet is fine, especially on such a dry board, because you kind of want to encourage them to peel with their 9s or their 10s or their jacks at this point, if that's what they have. And even if we bet like 600, if someone calls, there's 4K in the middle, 4K behind, still 2 streets of betting left to go. Plenty of chance to get the money in. This is a board as well where I think we could even consider checking and let this guy who cold called the 3-bet take a stab at the pot. We have the ultimate not bluff catcher, and he's going to bet with a lot of his value hands as well as his bluffs. So we c-bet, take it down. I think there are a lot of ways we could have played that hand. And also there's certain lines we can take that actually allow us to fold the aces given the action we run into, but we ain't going to concern ourselves with that. We won that pot. On to the next one. Ace queen, we make the 3-bet and take it down. This guy is playing pretty loose at 46-25, so I like punishing his loose range. He's going to be calling our 3-bet with a lot of hands we have in bad shape, whereas if he was a tight player, he may fold the hands that we have crushed, in which case flatting would be a more desirable option. But I like 3-betting against the loose guy. Well played, well earned pot, and we will go back to following the triple threat. See, we're just sticking with the triple threat, building up that stack. We ain't even calling with the KJCC. We ain't interested in that, because we want to stack the deck in our favor every hand. We want to have everything going for us. QJDD, such a good looking hand, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players left to act who may have gotten dealt a real hand is dangerous. It's pretty easy to run into a hand when there are 8 possible people out there who still could have a hand. By the 3-5 suit, them pot odds. Anyone want to talk about defending strategies? We are pre-ante at this point, but always interested to know. We are getting, there we go, hold a manager. 4.15 to 1, pretty good odds. Interesting. I think we should one day just talk about nothing but defending and pot odds and stuff, because it's pretty cool stuff. Almost as cool as having ace queen against a guy who's limping with 46% of hands. Edvin, I see you're following the videos, the old school videos. come in for 3x plus 1 for every limper. These days you can go a little bit smaller. I think 3x would be fine there, but it's super minor. It's not a big deal. The more you want your opponent to play with you, the smaller you make it. Just invite him in. The less you want to deal with the post-flop spot, just jack it up big. You know, like the fold of the ace-9 offsuit. Oh, wow, we would have flopped top pair. Are we comfortable with top pair on a board like this if any action goes down? Probably not. So just avoiding a marginal spot pre-flop saves us the trouble of having to deal with a very tough and tricky spot post-flop. And that's what it's all about if you're new. Just keep your decisions simple. Not seeing that flop with them threes because there was a possibility of getting raised behind, committing 600 chips, and not seeing anything for it. I think this queen-jack offsuit we could peel, but again, it's a good spot. It's not one of them super premium spots. And in these tournaments with really weak fields, with very soft lineups, you can get away with passing on some slightly profitable spots to wait for the really nutty, most profitable spots. Whereas if you're playing on a tougher site where everyone's pretty good, you can't afford to pass up on any edges and you have to take every marginally pre-flop spot. That's why I really encourage people to experiment with different networks, experiment with small field tournaments, look for tournaments that get a lot of satellite players that will not attract a lot of professionals. The less popular tournaments are typically going to be the ones that have softer competition and still will pay out a very reasonable amount. You may not make 20K in one shot, but you can make 6. And you can make that 6 quite a few times before you get that 20K on the other side. So just some food for thought while we get through another spell of folding. But that's okay, you know. Sometimes you got to go 100 hands without playing one. And what's really great about these challenge tournaments on 888, which they run every day, Monday to Friday, is that the structure is very slow. You get a lot of time to pick your spots, and you also get a lot of blind levels. They include every blind level. You don't start with a ton of chips, but if you can get, you start with a decent amount, but if you can get that initial double up, you're coasting, and you can really do whatever you want to do. So here we got a board that's pretty tough for a player to connect with, so I like a c-bet here, 888 for 888.com, and take it down. Queen King, another open, and with 4 players out there, this is a board that is not looking that great for us. I think I'm leaning towards a check fold, and Edvin makes the correct decision. It's just like, although it's low cards, and our opponents are going to peel more with high cards than low cards, there's 4 of them. There are 3 opponents, and the more people calling, generally the wider the calling ranges. So eventually someone's going to have the 6-7 or the 8-7 suited. And there's also the possibility that the first guy's just slow playing a decent pair. And someone probably connected with this board. So I like not investing any chips post, and I like if we fold this ace-2 suited under the gun. I know it's a good looking hand. I know we have antes out there, but a lot of players to get through. And stacks are still pretty deep, so people have a lot of play. When stacks are deep, people can continue versus your opens with more holdings, be it by flatting or by 3-betting. It's when stacks get shallower and people are kind of stuck to that reshove or fold mode that you're going to want to really open up with your opening range. Not that ace-2 suited by any means is not a good hand. It's quite good, but it's not in that top kind of 12%, I don't think. All right, so we squeeze it up with the ace-9 suited. I think this is a spot where flatting's all right too. It's a hand that can flop some equity, but this is kind of when someone flats the small blind versus a late position raiser, that is kind of the ideal time to try a squeeze play. And these guys are both very deep as well. We can also see Boki's very loose, and Metalit's a pro, has 100% full to 3 bets, so you can't get a much better spot than this. And Edvin risks 1777 to win 1770. Pretty good price, pretty good odds. Okay. Next. Not going to be playing that. Actually, I should see if it folds around to the button just to see if we play the 10-9 or not. Ace queen, easy raise and take. Ace 10 suited, not interested in playing versus that EP opener. And against some players, like, you're going to want to peel your strongest suited aces, your ace 10s, your ace jacks, your ace queens, and obviously your ace kings. Really depends on what the person's range is for opening under the gun. And we can see this guy is opening pretty loose from early position, but whatever, triple threat for the win. It's all good. Here we got 3 opponents, and we flopped a modest piece. I think the goal here should be to try to get this to showdown. Edvin puts in a bet, and at this point we're just gonna have to try our best to get to the end. Nice. We actually got called by worse. And I really dig our bet sizing here on the flop. Little less than 1/3 of the pot. Doesn't have to work that often. And we'll get players to peel with some hands that we have beat. What kind of blows my mind is that this guy did not opt to bluff with his hand on the river. If we have Jack 10, he has us beat, but we're going to fold that to his bet anyway. And with him having the ace of clubs, he knows that we can't have the nut flush. And we're probably betting most of our flushes anyway. So this is a really good spot for him to fire out a big one on the end. And it just shows kind of how weak the competition is on this site that it looks like he didn't even think about it. Hard to tell on a replayer. I really like the bet size though, because when I first saw the flop, I'm like, 3 opponents, probably check fold. But when in doubt, when you're not sure, you're like, maybe it's a bet, but I don't know, like, could be a check. Just bet really small. When in doubt between those 2 options, just bet like 1/3 of the pot and see what happens. It's probably not going to be too bad either way. And we're back up to 14K. We're back up to 50 big blinds. And yeah, just waiting for that next hand that we're going to play. It's probably going to be this one. So ace queen suited. I think I like a flat call here. It's a hand that flops very well. It's a hand that dominates a lot of this guy's opening range. If we 3-bet and we get 4-bet, we aren't really sure what to do. So let's just call and see if we can flop some equity, shall we? And that would, meet the criteria for flopping equity. Once check 2, this is a super easy bet. If he continues, awesome. We have 15 cards that can make us what's almost certainly the best hand. He's check folding most of the time, but it's not like, oh man, I flopped my flush draw. I need a slow play to see if I can make my hand. It's like, well, we have ace high and we have the opportunity to take down this pot right now. If we see the turn in river, we're going to make a winning hand 50% of the time, but if we bet and win it now, we're winning it 100% of the time. And building on top of that, once he checked, it's not like he has a hand that we're probably going to be able to extract value from, so we might as well just get things over with now and take what's rightfully ours. This also looks like a hand that we're probably going to be playing. Just pre-flop takedown. Nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. All right, this gives us something to talk about. Trip queens, top kicker. How do we get that value? Well, let's look. There's 2,700 in the middle, and we still have 14K behind. We have a lot left to play, so we need to make sure that money starts going in ASAP. Start with a C bet and hope our opponent hit. Ooh, ain't that a sweet sight? We get min raise, and we have like, I want to say second nuts. And you guys are instantly typing like, yes, I know that kings is a better hand than us, as well as king queen, but I just don't think that this guy is going to have slow played kings given his stats. I mean, he's 3-bets 3, kings in the top 3% hands, he's probably 3-betting them. We are beat by Queen King. Would he min raise it? I don't know. Generally, from these types of players who are very passive, this is a really strong hand. His aggression factor is 1, meaning he very rarely finds the raise button, and that means he is very unlikely to be bluffing here. I think given that, we need to keep building this pot. Against your typical aggressive player, we would call, you know, under rep our hand and let them continue betting. But this guy's so passive that he may min raise and then like freak out if a club comes on the turn, or decide he needs to go in a showdown mode with his hand and check back. Oh, there will be 8K in the middle. So I'm thinking we should try to build this pot up. I'm looking at the notes, and Edvin thought this guy had a king when he raised the flop. Fair. He goes with a call and the lead. I'm not a huge fan of this play because it looks a lot like we have what we have, and if we want to get more money in without giving away, like if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna put more money in before giving him the opportunity to bet again, I think it's better to just click him back on the flop, like make it like 42 here, a price that like he'll be real insulted about folding to. Be like, no way am I folding for 1,500 more. And before you know it, there's 11K in the middle and less than 11K behind. A lot more room for him to spaz out. Whereas this play, you force him off of all his bluffs, and if he has a king, he's probably not going to call a turn in a river bet anyway. You're only getting one more. So better to do it on the river when there is no implied threat of a future bet. He knows he can call and get the showdown, versus if he sees this bet, he's like, well, if I call this, is there another one coming on the river? Because I'm not calling both, so why even bother calling the first one? Give him too much of an opportunity to get away. All that being said, I mean, I thought our man had a hand being passive like that, so I like the trying to build of the pot. But if you're going to do it, I either like a small click back on the flop or checking to him again on the turn. Maybe going for the check shove at that point, or maybe going for the check call and check again on the end. I guess this guy had total air balls, and it just shows that these players are super erratic, because he probably hadn't raised this entire tournament. And he's like, oh, I'm going to bluff here. Anyway, we take that pot down, which leaves us sitting with 20K and still 50 big blinds, plenty to work with. And this is the stage of the tournament where things get fun, because the blinds do start creeping up at a reasonable pace, and players just don't adjust well for it. So they spew off massive stacks, allowing you to get super deep, and they also, the other players will just play too tight and wither away, even though they should really be getting in there and mixing it up. But I'll let you see that stuff next episode, because this one's been just about long enough. So that's going to wrap up part 1. I hope you were able to learn a thing or two that will help you improve your results on the tables. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, don't be shy. Post them in the comments section. Let's get the discussion ball rolling. I always love to hear what you guys have to say, and I'm sure Edvin would appreciate your feedback as well. And once you're done with that, you know what to do. Take what you've learned, go out there, and get stacking.
Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking.
Stack it up, cash it in, damn, I win again. Many friends come to play, cause I'm on the internet. Better yet, I flop the turn and take a chance upon the river. I'll bluff you with the 7-2 offsuit, whatever's clever. Call you all in while your chip stacks falling. Better believe the dealer, cause the game just started. Don't know the rules, you bet it all and then you risk it. If you wanna learn it, you should go online and hit up Gripsit.
Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, the pots I be blasting. Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking. Now you're picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com, tell you how to get it stacking. Ever since a young cat, want a pocket stack with cash in the fast you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, them pots I be blasting. Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. Now you picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, them pots I be blasting. Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com tell you how to get stacking. Now you picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. Yeah, we get it stacking. Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. The flops I be smashing, them pots I be blasting. Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. When the main event, man, that could never happen. The Grips.com tell you how to get it stacking. Now you picking up traction, getting action. Grips.com